Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday show. The trio is back. I'm James Chen, and I'm joined by Mr. Dancing David and Tubaware. How's everybody going?
I'm doing great. I'm dancing because last week I missed this thing to see Hamilton in person. Wow. Wow. What a time it was.
What
I hope you guys had a good week.
Dude, how was that, though?
I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was cool. I happen to live with a Hamilton super fan, and she enjoyed it tremendously. So that was very cool. I was really happy about that. Anyway, hope you guys had a good one.
Hamilton is rap for entry-level white people. That's what it is.
That may be relevant in the case of the person who I live with.
Dang. Dang. Hang on a second. Shout outs to Fat Cat gifting 10
a big
subs.
10 bomb.
Dang, look at this. Dang.
All right.
So Kuduin, Elvin Shadow, Blizzard, King of Games, Dubudomo, Volts, FGC, Cephalope, That Guy Gandhi, Leo Ferris, and Jotoko. Awesome.
Sweet.
Much
Thank
appreciated.
you very much.
Thanks, Fat Cat.
So let's get to the topics. As you can see, Tupperware had something to say, and I blitzed right through it.
That's true.
That's because we're going to be trying to keep it to a little bit more of a certain time limit. We're intending to end it by 8 o'clock these days. We are trying to be better about making the correct amount of time for topics, picking topics, that sort of stuff. Hopefully that will all work out, but I guess we'll see.
Streamline.
Anyway, here's what we have to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Granblue patch. We'll be talking about Justin versus Roundhouse. We'll be talking about an interview with Mr. Aquaman. That's going to be cool. He's a cool dude. A couple of 5-5 matchups. There's other game stuff to talk about, like Melty Blood and King of Fighters and et cetera, et cetera. We got other stuff on the docket here, but let's begin by talking about Granblue Fantasy Versus.
That's right. New patch has been released for the game. Man. Like, I wish I could just be here like, new patch, let's go. But clearly, the reaction, it seems, from the community has been fairly negative. I even saw Giuna saying that the Japan community is also not happy either, mostly posting negative stuff.
They made some questionable decisions for like a late life game. I mean, the game's been out for almost 2 years. Like it's probably mid to late life in its cycle, and they made some real questionable decisions.
Yeah, I mean, for obviously, the very first patch that came out for Granblue Fantasy Versus, unfortunately, kind of set this precedent that they are taking away the fun from the game. A lot of the cool things that were in the original release were taken out. And so a lot of like crazy combos and crazy setups and such. And it sounds like that this patch has kind of done some similar stuff. I mean, you said you read through the notes a little bit, Tubo?
Yeah, I mean, I took a peek at the notes, and I don't play the game, so it was confusing to try to read about characters I knew nothing about, right? So I looked at some Twitter videos and whatnot of people showing differences, and one thing that really just like stuck out immediately is it seems like if you had a way to go through projectiles or nullify projectiles that wasn't a system mechanic, they took that away from you. One major example is Percival has a forward moving uppercut. Completely invincible. Used to go through fireballs if you could react to it, and it was like a skill check, basically, right? Like it was a high reaction type thing. And they took that away from him, and it's confusing as to why. His super as well doesn't go through fireballs anymore. Zeta's beam doesn't nullify fireballs anymore. It just trades with them. So it seems like if you don't want to use roll or dodge to deal with fireballs or jump, they don't want you dealing with fireballs. It just seems really odd to make that decision really late in the game's life cycle. So I've seen a lot of people upset about that. There has been some positive things. I know Charlotta, a character I used to play, had some things, I don't want to say normalized, but the gaps in some of her strings are safer now. She can't just get mashed uppercut on. Like, there was some positive stuff, and characters did get buffs. It wasn't like a everybody got everything taken away patch. It was just, it seems from what I can tell and what I've seen, it was the changes they made don't really point to anything. Like, it's not like, okay, we've made this change because of this. It was kind of just like, we don't want you to go through fireballs. We don't want you to do this besides using the system mechanic we created. So do that.
Yeah, because like
it seems limiting.
Narmaya also had like the sword slash thingy, and that thing
Yep.
doesn't work against projectiles anymore or something, or
I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to like get, like I said, I don't play the game. I don't want to get too deep into it. I just know the stuff I've been seeing, you know.
Right. But I mean, at least it sounds like some characters did get buffs. So
yeah, it looked like some characters got some stuff, but I just don't know how much that affects, you know, the meta. I don't know how much that affects what's going on in the game right now. I don't know if it was like stuff that was quality of life changes or if they're huge changes to these characters, because I don't play the game like that, so it's really hard for me to make those calls.
I mean, I don't have a position on the game or the patch just because I haven't played it since very close after release. So I just haven't kept up with it. You know, I'm not in a position really to talk about it. I don't have a position on that as a result, but it does seem unusual to me, if nothing else, for a game to be, you know, a year and a half, 2 years into its lifespan, and then have a patch that takes away options. That's just rare.
Right.
I think was my main reaction. Instead, when, at least in many cases nowadays, when you think of a patch that comes later in a game's life, you think of a patch that like opens things up. Now Mortal Kombat has custom variations. Now Street Fighter V gets new mechanics. Now Dragon Ball FighterZ is Dragon Ball FighterZ like 2.0 basically. Like
Right,
that's more like what I think about when I think about patches that come later. Or maybe it's just a game like Tekken where it's not really about like big changes. It's just like tweaking here and there, like little tweaks here and there.
Sure.
And again, I don't have a position. Maybe this falls under the tweaking, although these changes, just to read them, sound like maybe more than that.
Right.
But yeah, my main reaction is just like, it seems unusual. It seems rare for a patch to take away tools, and players tend not to like that very much.
Yeah, especially this late into a game's life cycle. It's extremely rare.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to add in here really quick is that, you know, obviously Twitter is the bastion of all complaints, and like it is just like the land
For sure.
of all that. And, you know, I do want to point out that, you know, someone in the chat right now who does play Granblue and is traveling to offline events and stuff like that, he's been mentioning on here that he feels like Twitter is kind of controlling the narrative, and that it isn't actually that bad, and that, you know, the people are overreacting and stuff, and that the game actually is still fine, and actually the patch is still good. And, you know, I totally get that, because that's definitely what happens, right? Whenever something new comes out and like someone gets nerfed, that's like what everybody focuses on and such. So, you know, again, so I think we still have a long way to go to talk about, you know, to find out how this patch affects the game and such. Maybe in the end it's actually better, you know. But again, at the same time, it's weird, because like, this is almost kind of one of those things now where, you know, you're starting to see patch notes where they come out, where they kind of talk about the reasons for the decision making. I don't know if that was in the GBVS patch notes at all. Was there any? Because you know how like when Soul Calibur patches come out, like this character does this, we wanted to change this. And even in Street Fighter recently, they have like these summarized kind of, you know, notes on, you know, why they decide. We were afraid that, you know, if you could do V shift not in neutral, it would be too powerful, but you know what, it's fine, let him do it, you know, kind of thing. Was there anything like that in this patch notes?
I was reading tweets. I was reading a tweet thread that was just putting out the changes, so I didn't even see the actual official full document.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to make it seem like any of us has like an authoritative opinion on the patch here.
Sure don't.
Yeah, we definitely do not want to make it seem like that. I'm happy to hear that it sounds like some folks in the chat are positive about it. And I did see some things on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, always in every case, when there's a patch, you see negative takes, even if characters actually don't get nerfed, because the characters that people wanted to get nerfed didn't get nerfed, right? Like there's always going to be negativity. That's how the internet is, not just Twitter. Like it was like that on SRK too. It's always like
hey,
that.
David, did you turn off your mic on OBS Ninja? People are saying you're echoing.
Oh no, I forgot, and I did just now. Thank you. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, all of a sudden he sounds much clearer. Okay.
We redid it. I forgot that.
Weird.
I resent it to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
I
my
figured.
bad.
My bad.
All good.
So anyway, there's always negativity. I definitely don't mean to portray that as being the like important reaction to the patch that happened. And I'm glad to hear that some characters got buffed. But again, though, it just strikes me as unusual. I think that's really just my only take about it, is that it seems unusual for a patch to do stuff that takes away options. Even in other games where characters get nerfed, that's like taking away the option is rare. That happens sometimes. It's not never, but it's also like not the common way that patches tend to go.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
importantly, I mean, one, game is still being updated. Obviously, new characters, and one of the things the chat is mentioning is that some characters like Sorties, Lowain, Cagliostro, Uno getting some really good buffs. Eustace finally being a viable character, etc., etc. So definitely sounds like that there's a lot there. So one of the most important things probably to when you see Twitter, definitely take some time to find out what you form your own. I mean, look, every time a new character drops, like in Street Fighter V, Rose looked busted beyond all compare, and then she was kind of normal and not great, So, oh man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
just take the time to, evaluate and figure out how you feel about it yourself. Basically, so
yeah. Look, I mean, we'll see how it feels going forward.
Yep,
I hope the people who are playing the game will continue to play the game. I obviously wish that scene the best of luck. All right, cool. Anything else to say on this?
Nope. Moving on.
Think of. Let's go forward to a big money FGC classic FGC money match happening this past weekend. Justin happened to be in Los Angeles. I wonder what for at this point in time. It's kind of interesting that he's in Los Angeles. But one of the players who has really been on the come up in MVC2. I mean, when I say that, it sounds weird. He's been playing for quite some time now, but he's just not one of the super old school crew. Roundhouse here from Southern California, who I think did beat Justin at a tournament at one point in time. I think it might have been a combo breaker tournament. But he's one of the best at MVC2, been playing a lot, practicing with Duck Doe and all these other Southern California players and everything. He came out and made the claim that Justin Wong is no longer the GOAT at MVC2. He basically said that he's not currently the best at the game, and that he would destroy Justin Wong at MVC2. So they set up a $10,000 money match, and we're not talking like pesos here. I mean, we're talking $10,000.
Smackaroos.
Well, okay. For semantic purposes, some people call this $10,000. But the other way to view it is that each player is risking $5,000.
Yeah, I will call this a $5,000 money match. Personally,
you hear it both ways. I just want to be clear about, like, there was $5,000 at risk. As a result, the total pool is $10,000.
Yeah, it's a 10K exhibition, and the buy-in was $5,000.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the best thing about it was, shout outs to Fuji, by the way, who old school guy who helped run Seasons Beatings a long time ago with Chris Gallion. He was the one that everyone sent he was again the MVC2 money holder. He was the
escrow man? Wow.
Dude, both of the players sent him $5,000, and he was holding on $10K because he's had a history of setting these up at Seasons Beatings, so he can be trusted with this. And sure enough, after the result, the winner was given $10,000. And did you guys?
So they had this at Roundhouse's house. Mm-hmm. There was a stream there. On his stream, Neo was there to commentate it. And they had a setup where it looked to me like Justin was playing on a moss stick on the ground, and Roundhouse was playing sitting at an arcade cab. which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, Roundhouse. I don't know him personally, but I do certainly remember the name from ages ago. I believe playing at Regency back in the day. So this is a guy who has definitely been around. But to sort of set the table even further, I don't know if anybody doesn't know this, but Justin definitely was the greatest Marvel 2 player for, I mean, I guess for including now, but like definitely for a long time. Yeah. And this is a guy who did not lose a tournament that he entered for 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, every tournament he entered. 3 years. Yeah, something like that. It was like
2.5, 3 years. I don't remember the exact length.
It wasn't that he didn't lose. He didn't even get put in a loser's bracket. He didn't lose a set.
Yeah.
It's a pretty wild streak.
Set.
So that kind of streak is just basically unmatched. I think there's like
It'll never happen again.
Like Zero got close when it comes to when it came to Smash 4, but other than that, like nobody has even been in the near ballpark in any game, regardless of how big or small the size of the scene. Like it just hasn't happened and probably won't. So that's kind of the stage here. Roundhouse challenges Justin to this big money match. They played it out yesterday. What was the result?
Justin, okay, look, I'll tell the story a little bit. Roundhouse came out firing out from the gate, won the first game, and from the stream, you could hear the pop off from Roundhouse.
I mean, you could see it on the camera.
Yeah, dude, he
got out of his chair.
Let's go! You know, kind of a thing.
One game, by the way.
It was a game, yeah.
And
he popped off big time.
I don't think he won another game until it was like 9-1 or 8-1.
It was rough.
It was a big streak for Justin.
It was rough.
And at some point, Roundhouse called his timeout. In big money matches like this, one thing that has like historically been there is that people are allowed the chance to call a timeout. And he called his timeout. So he did whatever. Again, it's in his house. And during that time, commentators, it goes back to them and they're chatting about how things are going. Justin like kind of vultures into the background. And is just standing there with his water bottle and like kind of commentating on what they're commentating, like, that's right. Or, they're right. Or no, that wasn't like that. Like adding little bits here and there. So he finally has a conversation about it on the mic. Then they bring in Roundhouse after that, and they went back to playing after a while. And in the second half, is kind of at the half. In the second half, Roundhouse did get more wins. So it ends up being 15-5. It's the first to 15, and Justin took it with obviously 15-5 is a big victory.
Yeah, and there was clearly one game that Justin won. And he just stopped his own combo and did like a hard tag or something like that. And it almost seemed like he was trolling. But I mean, look, he's the king for a reason, man. And you know what? I mean, look, I'm not going to clown on Roundhouse for coming out and trying to challenge him. Let's keep that up, right? I mean, that's what we want. We want people to come after the best like that, right? But I mean, honestly, like, I appreciate what Roundhouse did. He came out, he said he could win, he put his money where his mouth is and everything like that. I think the only mistake he made was really that game 1 pop-off. I mean, like, you just don't touch the money.
That ain't the only mistake he made.
Well, okay, fair. And sure enough, he had a lot of drops. And, like, he did a DHE, you heard him hit buttons, nothing happened or whatever. Like, but look, man, like, that's the nature of the beast, right? That's what fighting games are about. It's not about how it should have ended. It's about how it did end. So even if you have execution errors or anything like that, or you flub something, there's no such thing as it should have been closer or it should have been blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm a proponent of the execution factor. That's the whole point of having that kind of fortitude to be able to perform under pressure. And he as the game started piling up for Justin, the pressure got to him. The Wong factor took effect. And that's exactly what the Wong factor is. When you are fighting Justin Wong and you know you should win by doing X, the probability of X failing you increases. That's literally the Wong factor, man.
Yeah, it was classic Justin style. I mean, look, I'm no Marvel 2 expert, but I've seen him play a lot, and it was like classic, mostly keep away, very patient, even turtling when the opponent had the life lead, Justin. And it was Roundhouse being sometimes too impatient and dropping stuff when he sometimes had the chances to take games or had the chances to kill characters. He definitely had some errors in there. But like James says, that's something that has happened again. Two people playing against Justin going back the entire time. Like it's always been like that. And players who, against anybody else would almost always hit their stuff. Against Justin, yeah, I mean, you wanted to, maybe it's that you wanted to beat him so badly that when it came down to that crunch moment, you put too much pressure on yourself. Whatever the origin of the Wong factor is, it's definitely a real thing. And it came in big time. That said, they had this whole conversation on the mic afterward and during about how, it could have or should have been 15-8 or 15 to whatever. Like, this is not useful to discuss at that point. It's 15-5. Like, that's a very big win. Right. And getting 5 wins against Justin in Marvel 2, when Justin's really trying hard with a real try hard team, and he even said he did homework on Roundhouse and he was prepared. Getting 5 wins, not nothing. That is legit. I mean, honestly, very few people would have been able to do that. But still, it's 15-5. It's definitely still a blow up in absolute terms. So you don't need to have the talk about like what could have or should have happened instead. It was, I mean, I thought it was fun to watch. I definitely thought it was cool. It's always cool for me to watch Marvel 2. Again, it's not a game that I ever took seriously myself, but it's always been fun to watch. I really appreciate watching it. Really cool to hear from Neo on the mic talking about it again. Obviously he loves the game a lot himself, so I thought that was cool too.
Shout outs to Al Makashi with saying that this gives a new meaning to the term #free MVC2. I mean,
right, yeah.
Justin tweeted just bruh mid-set and Twitter
like
exploded.
when the break started.
Bruh.
Was that a Flo joke? Was it Flo's joke? Okay. All right. We'll definitely. I mean, did Roundhouse ever land an Iron Man Infinite? Like, that's the whole point of that character.
He did not. He did not. Justin landed more Infinite. He had Storm Infinite versus sent a couple of times.
Yeah, because all you have to do is kill one character with Iron Man at point, and that could be it. I mean, Justin did have one really well-timed push block that did prevent the guard break at one point in time. But yeah, that's what Iron Man does. Like when you watch like Battle of the Strongest, when Yipes throws those tournaments, one of the things that he always says about Iron Man is he's never out. Like he can take out your whole entire team, with the right sequence, and it just never happened. Like it never happened, not a single time. And it's like, speaking of flow, like he's the one who told me in those games like MVC 2, MVC 3, the way that you don't get hit by those things is you're just never there to get hit by it. And Justin's the best at that. And
I was going to say, it just goes to show how good Justin is, not letting that happen ever.
Yeah, Justin said something like, look, I'm too old to block now, right? And for most people, that means that you lose. But what Justin means by that is that he doesn't let himself get in a position where he needs to block. Like he's just kind of taken that out of the equation almost. It's pretty remarkable. Speaking of Battle of the Strongest, Roundhouse won that in the past. So again, this is a really strong player. It's just that Justin is the best.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's so funny to me because I still always remember that MVC3 session that I was playing Flo, and he would do like the Dante Wesker unblockable on me. He would do the box jump and the Wesker low shot, and it was like, oh my god, high low at the same time. And I was like, how do I escape that? And he's like, you don't. And I was like, then how does Justin escape? And he's like, he's never there. I'm like, how is that possible? And then I watched them play, and Justin was never there. Like, what?
Yeah, Justin has this kind of remarkable ability to boil the game down in a way that very few players do.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, obviously he's not winning everything. Although if he took a game seriously, he can of course still be one of the best. Right. But there are now other players who are like at that level. But he still has this ability that's I feel very rarely matched, to feel like he sucks out the options in a fighting game. And that's I've seen that happen to people in who knows how many games at this point, and I felt it. I've played against him in Super Turbo and in Third Strike and in SF4, and in all of those cases, he would make it feel like I didn't have options in just a silly way, like a very absolute kind of way, in a way that nobody else has ever made me feel. I played a lot of good players.
Yeah. Listen here, man. Justin Wong.
He's the only one who's made me feel like I just am in a position that I can't do anything about.
Yeah,
It's very
exactly.
Listen, Justin Wong doesn't take out all the options. Because I hop ultra that motherfucker live on stream, and he can hold that forever.
I mean,
that's an option he'll never take away.
I've taken games against Justin, even in tournament, but I never took a set against him. I don't think ever. And that was a time when I was winning stuff in Super Turbo, and I was winning stuff in Street Fighter 4.
Sure.
And
I mean, I tweeted it out, dude. I tweeted out, I was like, like you said, I've fought Vi and I fought John Choi and I fought all these guys. And keep in mind, these players are obviously great. But when you fight Justin, there's just this weird, like, wait, every time I try to do anything, he knew I was going to do it. Like, it's weird and it's very upsetting. So playing against him.
But this is a true story. I still wake up sometimes from not quite nightmares, but like uncomfortable dreams, where I'm in tournament playing Q against Justin's Chun-Li in Third Strike.
Wow.
Because it's specifically Justin, huh?
It's Justin, yeah, because he would come down occasionally when I lived on the East Coast to our tournaments in Maryland, in Virginia to be specific. And so we would play. And I played against a lot of Chun-Li's, including some of the best from Family Fun and so forth, but
do you tell your therapist about this dream and they ask you, is Justin Wong in the room with us right now?
He's always with me. No, the thing that's always with me is Q's inability to press any buttons. I
got traumatized by school. I have dreams of not studying for tests. David has dreams of Justin's Chun-Li in Third Strike versus Q.
I mean, not studying for tests was my real life. I got
right, exactly.
In real life. And then all to say that Justin is, even as I think there have been some other players who have gotten to his skill level or sort of legendary status, he's not alone in that anymore. I still think that he's one of the very few who is so strong at finding specific ways against people to just take out what feels like their options. So it wasn't surprising to me to see somebody who won bots and knows, obviously, is super good at setting up Iron Man events, just never going. Just can never come up. Like Justin is the kind of player to make that happen.
Dude, I still remember. So Jihad Joe in the chat says, "Can you talk about how awesome Justin is on commentary? Like you'll hear him say exactly what the players are thinking." I still remember in it was at UC Irvine. It was for a charity stream tournament. I was playing Gutex on stream, and right when something like I was gonna do like jump, cross up, light kick, instant tiger knee, EX into ultra, right? The classic Street Fighter 4 cami trick. And right before I did it, like Justin was on commentary and he was like, James is going to hit him with like, a big thing into ultra, like right now. And I did it. And it was just like, I kind of heard him off the corner and I was like, what the hell? Like it made no sense to me. Like I was just like the weirdest thing that he just knew.
The truth is, Justin just really believed in you, James. That's yeah. He's just being a good friend, and he's like, James is going to do it right now.
Also, how many times has he said somebody's about to do something into Ultra and it hasn't worked out, huh? Are you only remembering the positive stuff, huh?
All right, fair. Okay.
He's obviously amazing at this stuff. That's part of why he's so good at fighting him. Yeah. So yeah, on commentary, it's really cool to hear him have that perspective too. Mm-hmm, totally agree. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Oh man. But I mean, again, just to reiterate, again, the point of this, not to clown on Roundhouse, obviously, because go challenge him, do your thing, right? Obviously, and a lot of people are gonna make fun of him, but look, how many people out there are gonna be willing to put up 5K to try to go up against Justin Wong in MVC2, right? I mean, Neo challenged everybody. I don't think he's ever challenged Justin Wong in MVC2 for in that kind of a money match kind of situation. I'm sure they've played long sets personally and stuff, but again, shout outs to him, more power to him. And, maybe this will just make him try to get even stronger, and maybe he'll try to run it back at some point in time. And you know what? It'll be a cool storyline. And as long as the rivalry stays in the game, and, as long as, it brings us the hype, I'm totally down for it. So I'm totally in.
I hear that. All right, cool. Anything
Moving
else on
on.
this one?
No. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be bringing on Mr. Aquaman onto the stream. Don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Tuesday show. We are going to be moving on to the next portion of the stream, which is, of course, bringing on our guest, and that will be Mr. Aquaman. Let's welcome him to the stream. How you do? Oh, my God, David is gone.
David's not there. You forgot to put David in the chair.
No, he's back. And actually, he's Olerta David. I can't type, apparently, so sorry.
Hey, my name is BG Callisto over here, so.
That's also true. James, you had one job, and here we are with BG Callisto back on for a second week.
Well, welcome, Ryan. That's cool then.
Yeah, let's say another Ryan. 2 Ryans in a row.
All right. Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks a lot for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. James, David, Tupperware, really good to see you guys. A huge fan of the show. Love what you guys are doing out here, and thanks for having me on.
How wide is that lapel? What if you had to put an inch on how big the collar is right there? What would you say?
Pretty big. I do like to show a lot of chest for no reason.
You do. I'm down with it, man. Yes, sir.
I mean, honestly, your studio is really always been one of the most impressive studios that I see on stream. It's so beautiful, and you've got the trident back there and everything.
There's a lot of Easter eggs and you know what? I purposely move, sometimes I'll move one thing just to see if anyone's caught it, and in 3 years, no one's caught a single thing. So I just do it for my own benefit.
That's awesome.
No one's ever noticed, but you know, I just do it anyways.
But I move stuff all the time, and no one ever notices. But there is a lot back here, and I just keep adding to it. The more that I'm involved in fighting games and get to do really cool stuff and get really cool signs and stuff from different events to kind of plug back here. And I think it's pretty unique.
It's awesome.
There's a lot of stuff back there.
Cool. Well, we're going to be talking about several things today, but I always think it's cool to start by talking about how people got into the FGC. So what was your path to getting into fighting games and then into taking fighting games more seriously in a competitive way?
Oh boy, I think that I had a very similar path as a lot of people when I say this, because I find more and more people that kind of got in with the same thing. I got in through, for one, a friend that kind of reached out to me and was like, hey, try, at the time it was Street Fighter 4. Because I've been involved in the scene since Street Fighter 4, and it was my buddy making me play it with him, and then me going to the launch tournament at GameStop, which again I feel like that was a lot of people's way into any type of competitive gaming at all back in the early 2000s, and especially around 2009, I believe is when that came out. Mm-hmm. And after that started to kind of be like, oh man, this is really fun. It's different. It's one-on-one, because I had tried Gears of War competitively before that.
Ooh.
Through the same. Oh, hey. Shout outs to the Gears of War community. And it was through the same avenue of kind of learning about it through GameStop, and then I did a couple of local tournaments for fun. And then, as it turns out, I needed people to carry me in those games to win. And so I was like, I don't want to rely on other people. One-on-one seems like a really good thing. I only have myself to blame. And so started when Mortal Kombat 9 came out, went to the GameStop tournament for that, started to meet a couple of people. And then what really got my foot in the door was, I'm going to give all the credit where it's due, to an online forum called Test Your Might.
That's the place it exists for sure.
Hey, that was the place to be at the time if you wanted to get into competitive Mortal Kombat. It was the place to be. There was regions on there. Found Virginia. Found the top post that was hosting locals, and it was a player by the name of David. Some of you guys might know this one, Blackula. Back in the day. And went to his house from that post, and that was the beginning of my journey right there, was showing up at Blackula's house for some MK9 and getting the...
You talked a little bit about why you like fighting games. So you like the one-on-one aspect of it, but like, is there anything else about fighting games that really sucked you in?
What sucked me in the most, that was kind of a foot in the door, and then it ended up, a little bit of it was that it was kind of like my stress release. You get home from work and you want to rage, and so you beat the crap out of someone in a fighting game, and that's exactly what I did, and that was how I that's how I relieve stress. I don't know about you guys, but it's really stress relieving to beat someone in a fighting game. You feel great. But what really got me in was when I went to my first big tournament. And then I fell in love with the atmosphere and the people, and the fact that everyone had like similar, interests. And I was like, oh, these are my kind of people. Yeah. And that was the first thing for me.
Yeah, I've always often said, like, the first time you witness one of those Sunday finals, and, obviously you want to be up there playing, but if you're not, even when you're in the chair sitting with your friends and you're all cheering for the same things, like the people sitting next to you know what the hype moments are, it's just a wonderful feeling, dude. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. And I'll tell you, good experience too out of the gate was at my first tournament. I made someone rage quit and throw their pad, and that was another that was another moment for me where I'm like, okay, this is something. This is something here. The girlfriend was watching too. It was the peak.
Oh,
the peak.
no!
I don't know how many hours he put in. I don't know how many hours he put into training to get beat by my day one Cyber Sub-Zero at the time. But
oh man, that's amazing.
It was a really good first experience, and that's what sucked me in. And now, almost a decade later, my focus has gone from being more involved to trying to create those opportunities to bring people together, because that's what I've fell in love with the most.
Right.
Well, we'll talk about all that stuff for sure, because that you are doing a lot of that. But to go back, you were already playing video games competitively. I'm always interested in what is interesting about competition, or what kind of drags people into the competitive arena in the first place. What is it for you, and what is it in fighting games that you see that does that for you?
I think it's just how many. I'm a little bit different. Like I really enjoyed the mind games of fighting games. Really similar to chess when you're in one-on-one situation. You know that your opponent has this many options. You have this many options, and now let's rock paper scissors, buddy. That was kind of what drew me in, was the strategies behind it, just how different it was from shooters at the time. Luckily, I didn't get into MOBAs; those were kind of crazy, and just different mechanically, right? And all those games, they do have those mind games and those really high end strategies and the depth to it. But fighting games was just another monster for me, where it was one-on-one. All I have to rely on is that one person, what's going on in his mind and what he's capable of, and that's what really drew me in as a competitor. Was I like doing that, and again, winning in those situations, it's very euphoric to overcome that, because you're like, I outplayed someone and outread their mind in a sense.
I mean, that sounds like a common theme. David, like he said, he's been asking a lot of people, but it seems like a lot of it really just does come down to people like the competition, but also just liked being able to rely on themselves,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, talk to me about your competitive career in fighting games, huh? How did it go? All the ups and downs? Surely many ups.
It's about this long, and most of them are no. I went I've competed. I competed for a lot of years straight. In these past few years, I've been more on the tournament side of things.
Right.
But
Yeah.
But for my first few years in MK9, I traveled to every Big E event, a lot of East Coast events. Out of the gate for MK9, went 0-2 at I think my first 3 or 4 majors in a row. So
Damn.
Stay humble out there, all of you guys. It's okay.
And actually, you know what? You're right. Yeah, that's the important message, right? You did that, but you kept going and had fun.
I went 0-2 and still had a good time. That's a really, really big thing to take away from that is that the experience was worth it. Even outside of that, was that the event itself was awesome.
Right.
And then a game came out called Injustice, and it had a character called Aquaman in it. And in that game, what character did you play?
I played Ares, and I've got a really good story for you guys.
Aquaman was top tier. Surely you played Aquaman.
I know. He was so top tier. He was boring. Why? He was watching paint dry. Was Aquaman Injustice 1?
Why would they make Why would they make Aquaman a boring character? He's not a boring character.
I wonder.
Okay, so this is a pretty cool story because this is technically my greatest result in a fighting game. Was I got 4th at the very first tournament for Injustice 1. And there was about 8 or 9 testers in that tournament, so it felt pretty damn good.
Let's go.
Dang good. Can I curse on that? My bad. Yeah, ban the testers. This was. Anyway, I digress.
So wait. I just need to clarify one thing. What David is insinuating here is you were Mr. Aquaman long before Injustice 1.
I was. And I still didn't play the character, even though I grew up. And my name is Aquaman because I'm a huge Aquaman fan. It's my favorite superhero, has been since I was a kid. But at the character select screen, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't, in all good consciousness, be bored out of my mind.
That's wild.
And crazy enough, it was in the first couple of days because when the game came out, it was a Tuesday, and Civil War, which was the first tournament for the game, was that weekend. The game came out Tuesday, and that weekend it was happening. It was happening in Virginia. I lived in Virginia at the time.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
That entire week, we were at Blackula's house. Tom Brady was there. He actually won the tournament with Aquaman. Did Tom Brady? And and he even infamously on the microphone said, "You don't even play Aquaman," and he had a Superman shirt on while playing Aquaman. Like, can you believe the audacity to call me out? Wearing a Superman shirt playing Aquaman. But yeah, so in those first couple of days, at the character select screen, I kept looking at Ares and going, man, that guy looks really, really cool. And so I just picked him and found 2 really, really dirty things, which ended up being day 1 gimmicks that weren't that great at all. But day 1, it hit everyone. And what went into that tournament, ended up placing 4th. Got double eliminated by Chris G. Who
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, and again, he had some time with the game prior, and I had no idea. Well, I got run over like the kid in Pet Sematary. Like, I just, you know what I mean, just flattened. And it is what it is. And that was like one of my biggest things was being able to, within a span of a week, have a little bit of a jump over what felt like an awful lot of people in that game, and that gave me the biggest jump. MK9 was that weekend as well. I got top 8 and got 7th, and so that was like one of my best weekends as far as a competitor goes. Was actually having a decent result in MK9 when everyone was really good at it, and then in Injustice 1, and that carried it into I want to say I got 9th place at the next major, and then consistently got just outside of top 16 or within top 16 in that game. And it was with a character that was perceived as absolutely terrible. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate, even to this day, of don't just play the top tiers, play who you want to play and make it work. And those are some of my favorite people to watch of all time.
So,
yeah, although if I could go back in time, I wouldn't play Q, but I think that's maybe there's a limit.
No more nightmares.
Third Strike is a little different, okay? Third Strike is a little different.
But yeah,
listen, I had a terrible character that still had an unblockable armored launcher.
Right. Yeah, that game was pretty wild.
We were doing okay. It was a power character. I could still hit someone for 80% if they messed up, guaranteed. Like those were just the good old days of absolute brokenness. And that's what really kickstarted my kind of path as a competitor, because then I had a lot of self-belief that I was like, okay, I can be all right. And in MKX that continued. James, you about to ask something?
No, I was just to ask, what do you consider your greatest result? What's your greatest competitive accomplishment?
Ooh. My single greatest accomplishment was very similar story. Mortal Kombat X came out. It was Virginia. It was about a couple of months after the game had come out, so it was fresh. And we had a really big regional at the time in Virginia called Top of the Food Chain. And Brady came down, and he usually won them, even in Injustice 1 and prior. And he came down talking a lot of smack. It was a lot of smack. Tom, I love you, but that dinner table at the TGI Fridays. Boy,
I'll never forget the dinner table at the TGI Fridays.
I will take it to my grave, and not only will I take that to my grave. That's why this is my single greatest accomplishment. Is that I ran into him in winter semis. I want to say it was a 3-1 victory. I got him, and he got the run back in grand finals, and I was down 5-0. He reset 3-0. He was up 2-0 on me, and I reversed 3-0 for the comeback. And it was the only time I've ever in person experienced or have really seen this in the FGC. And there's a video of this on YouTube where the crowd rushed the stage and was jumping up and down surrounding me. It was such a big, like, it wasn't my victory. It was everyone in the region that they all came to the stage and were like, yeah, he lost. Like, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
It was the most emotional, like, victory that I've ever experienced.
Did you grab the mic and say, I don't play Aquaman, but you don't deserve to play Sub-Zero? Because that's what I would have done.
No, I didn't say a single word. It was kind of disbelief at the time, but it was a really big victory because Tom was one of the people that had been kind of teaching me fighting games from the beginning, there in Virginia. But boy, he talked a lot of smack about our region being free and that this is going to be a free victory for him. Wow. And not today.
Nice work.
Was my response.
Not today, sir.
The
favorite victory
defense
of all time. Yeah.
That's super good, dude. Okay,
that's
all
a
right.
story.
So,
Which is really similar because he was kind of dominant again in the beginning of Injustice as well in Virginia, coming down and winning. So I put the stop to that. Nice. And that was a really big regional thing. And regional pride was kind of the biggest thing in Injustice 1. And that's why it's, not to change topics, but that was one of my favorite eras of our community, at least in the Mortal Kombat NRS community, was Injustice 1, because regional pride was almost everything.
You're right.
So you make a transition into doing more commentary than playing, and now even more like organizing and stuff. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the transition into commentary. How did that happen?
It happened as a byproduct of putting a tournament together, and it was cheaper for me to commentate it, stream it, and help run it than not. And so I agreed to do commentary for like my first event because one of the first events that kind of got me notoriety as a commentator, which was called Combat Cup. It was a long Mortal Kombat series back in MKX. I had done a couple of biggie events where Shock from Combat Network is like, anyone want to hop on the mic? Because no one's even there, That was a biggie event in the side room, and Shock's just chilling and.
Those are biggie side rooms. Yeah, definitely.
There's one dude on the mic, but he's eating like a bag of chips and drinking a Red Bull. Yeah. Not even talking to like the camera, but like talking to a conversation. Hey, how's it going today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How'd you do? That sucks, man. 7-3.
Dude, 100%. I have
it's
seen.
Like I'm there.
I think I know exactly which stream that was. Like seriously.
I can see it absolutely.
And so I wasn't even really commentating. It was more just helping out at the time, and ended up commentating this long series, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. So I just kind of kept doing it, but I had no aspirations of being a commentator at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting thing to know.
Yeah, so this was something that you never even set out to do, but I mean, as a result, I mean, you've done like a top 8 at Evo before for one of these games, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
NRS finals for MK and Injustice and stuff. Yeah, for
like
sure.
how does that feel though? I mean, was that just as exciting as, perhaps, defeating Tom Brady with the reverse 3-0? I mean, how did that feel?
It's a completely different thing, man. Like with commentary, I ended up falling in love with aspects of commentary, of entertaining that I didn't think that I would even enjoy at all. When you're the one telling the story, when you're that kind of communication between the viewer and what's happening on the screen, there's some kind of mode that you enter, and it's when people ask me why I like commentary, it's one of the things I like to talk about. It's that focus that you get where the match is happening. And that's all that matters. Your co-commentator, the match in front of you, you lose everything else. Like, I don't know how to describe it fully, but it takes away everything else happening in the world for the time allotted. And that feeling is just euphoric. You're just so laser focused, and it's really hard to get that,
It's why we can't ever remember what the score is.
Or the previous match, where we are in the bracket, what time it is, when the last bottle of water we had was, when the last time we ate was, because 10 hours went by. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to me because you said you didn't have aspirations for this, but I honestly consider you like one of the greatest entertainers in terms of like commentary. Like you're it feels natural for you. Was that something that you had to like learn, or was there an aspect of your life that just kind of slid you into that role?
I think it's just, I don't even know, man. Nothing prior like gave any indication that I could like do that at all. Like nothing in my life was like, yeah.
I was so boring. Nobody wanted to talk with me.
Right? A lot of people said I have a lot of charisma, when talking to them, and have a good personality. So maybe those kind of little comments, but nothing too crazy. And I think one thing that happened is that I brought something different to the table at the time, in our space anyways, as far as like our commentators, which was a lot more energetic. I watched way too much WWF and WCW in the 90s. And so my role models were Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, and they were just very entertaining, energetic. And when I first started, I yelled probably too much. I've toned it down as I've progressed throughout the years. And so, yeah, it was a really wild, rocky start. And then I just fine tuned it as I went. And like I tell anyone trying to be a commentator, trying to do anything really in this space, it just takes experience. It takes time.
For sure.
Doing these things over and over again. And I was blessed to have an opportunity to have something where I was commentating, believe it or not. At one point, I was commentating 35 hours a week for a certain company. And since then, I still feel like I'm one of the people that commentates the most of like fighting game commentators. And that gives me a little bit of an edge in that regard, too, of just having so much experience. I just do it multiple times a week for a couple years straight now. And that definitely helps as well. And goes with just keep doing it. And I create a lot of opportunities for myself too. Even if I don't get a lot of opportunities, I try to stay warm in that regard.
Is there anything that you felt like you have to like? I'm always curious about this side. Anything that you feel like you have to like overcome in becoming a strong commentator?
A lot of things. There's of course the big ones. Dealing with the negativity of people hearing your commentary and going, "Shut up. Stop yelling." Well, those are the nice comments.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
That's a grade school insult, man. It's way worse.
It gets way worse. Shut that fat Pablo Escobar looking mother.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, people. They get personal, man. They do. They get very personal.
They go for the jugular. They go for the jugular, man. And
they want to hurt your feelings.
You definitely need some thick skin in this. Overcoming, because I have a light speech impediment where I stutter a lot. And this actually, it's something that I forget about a lot, but commentary, in commentary, when I bring up the octave of my voice for when I'm commentating, because I don't sound like this when I'm commentating. I have a lot more of like a deeper, grainy kind of a place I go to, and I don't stutter while I'm there. And that's also why I really enjoy commentary, is that I don't stutter while I commentate, and I stutter every other sentence when I'm talking normal.
Sure.
It's interesting.
That's cool.
I find that I mean, when I was a kid, I stuttered a lot, and it still happens sometimes. But I noticed that when I'm commentating, almost never. And
I think
it's like I'm playing a part. Maybe I'm like.
Well,
I'm
if
not
you
so
guys
different,
figure out how
but-
to get rid of my lisp when I'm commentating, let me know.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think
You
it's that,
jerks.
I think it's that like Last Samurai mentality of like, you know, you have your mind on so many things, but in commentary, again, your mind is so focused that I feel like you just forget about it, and that's not even the thing that you think about. And so when you're not thinking about it, that's what helps the most, maybe.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's talk about the things that you are doing, the opportunities that you're creating. You've been super active on your stream and working with other people. Talk about that aspect of things for you.
Yeah, I currently run a Mortal Kombat, well, it's kind of a NetherRealm series. I do all of our games and regions now with a series called the Coliseum, which is a passion project of mine and one other gentleman, and we get help from one other guy. And so it's a very small team that tries to put on a really good show, and I feel like we put on a really good show. You know, the production value is something that we really focus on and treasure, and the entertainment value of it all. And on my end, it's more I get to kind of live out my fantasy of doing whatever I want from an organizational standpoint and having a really good stage to do it. And so this year I've done my own global series with Mortal Kombat 11. I was just like, F it. I wanted to give everyone a shot. And with my current series, I'm doing every single NetherRealm competitive title in a row. And the most proud thing that I'm like with this one in particular is next weekend and the weekend after is you guys were talking about Marvel earlier. And when they did Twitch Rivals Marvel, I was like, I think what most people should have been like, how are they doing that? And how are they doing this online? And so started looking into Parsec, started looking into Cloud Parsec, and finding out who was using it, and then got some really good help from the guys at Wednesday Night Fights. It was Boone, Wicked Boone, who sat down with me and kind of showed me the ropes, and it was a couple of months of setup, and because I'm like, why wouldn't this work for our games, for us to be able to enjoy Injustice 1 again, us to be able to enjoy Mortal Kombat 9 again. And that's exactly what I did over the past few months, is work on that, set that up, and got some invitationals for those games. And so far, tests have been wonderful. The players have had their minds blown.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about it, and as soon as I saw you tweeting about Injustice 1 with Parsec, I was like, "Yo, this is such a great idea!" Like, I was really excited.
It's a super good idea. I'm really glad that you are making it happen. How's the reaction been to that idea in the scene?
The reaction's been, I can't tell sometimes, but it's been mostly positive. You know, everyone's like, you know, MK9, yeah, Injustice 1, yeah, but you know, I can only choose, or with everything else I had going on, I only had so much mental cognitivity to track down as many old people as I could that no longer exist on the internet. Which that's one of the unfortunate truths about the NetherRealm community, is that, you know, a lot of the OGs are gone. A lot of the guys that played MK9 are gone. They're not around anymore. A lot of the guys that played Injustice 1, they're not around anymore. And so I had to get a really good mix of people that were still hard to find and people that are still active. And so, you know, there has been a lot of negative responses of, oh, why isn't so-and-so invited, blah, blah, blah. But I think that they're just, yeah, but I think that they're missing the point that this is, above all of that, it's just meant to be a good time, for one. So suck it. And two, you know, this is testing something that could be massive for our community. We get to enjoy those old games again. Like, chill out.
I agree.
That's
absolutely right. Yeah,
that's
chill out, nerd.
You know, like, calm down a little bit, sit back and enjoy the show,
right?
And watch these, you know, potential infinites and MK9 and armored interactable launchers and Injustice 1 happen, man. Just sit back and let it happen. It's gonna be a good time.
I mean, from my standpoint, I mean, David, you can confirm this. I mean, with my limited interaction with the NRS community, I really feel like you are like one of the most prominent people. I don't want to say you're like carrying the scene or anything like that, but I feel like you are doing so much work for the NRS scene. I mean, would you say that like that's like the case, David? I mean, you probably have
totally.
yeah. I mean, like, how does that feel, hearing somebody say something like that? Like, to me, you're one of the biggest players in the entire NRS community, and like one of the main go-to guys, going from just a player having fun, and now you are like one of the people keeping the scene as strong as it is.
I wish I wasn't. I wish that we were, we're in a position where, potentially there were others doing more things, or there was more going on than just, kind of my stuff, because it's a lot of pressure. It is a ton of pressure, and it's in a community that has its issues, and some of it's not even the community's fault. We're coming towards the end of a cycle of a game, and our community knows that the next game could potentially just be a completely different game that they don't like. And that's the sad NRS cycle, is that I feel like the NRS cycle isn't that a game comes out every 2 years, it's that a completely different game comes out every 2 years.
Sure.
And we lose and we lose a lot of players and all that fun stuff, so it's really hard to retain all these players, and we're in that position right now. Like, this is the time to try to retain as many people as possible, because without growth, I think the FGC as a whole is screwed. Like we all need more players. We need more interest in these tournaments. We need more viewers watching these tournaments if we want to go somewhere special. And so I've done my best to try to, do that. And I do these events because I like seeing these communities grow, and I like giving them the spaces to enjoy the games, play them, and win a bit of money. I've raised quite a bit of money on Matcherino, and was one of I think I may have been one of the first people to do it in the Mortal Kombat community. And thank you, Arturo, for just every day going Matcherino.
Yeah.
He was every day from Arturo. Absolutely love that guy. And I think we're around 25,000 in the past couple of years raised in pop bonuses for the NRS community. So I've just tried my best to keep everyone together and keep us going, because we're in a weird time right now. So that's what really motivates me right now to keep going. But to be in that position of like being the guy, it's a lot of pressure. And I have really bad days and I have really good days, and that's the answer to that.
Okay,
For sure.
Okay.
Well, you look good, dude.
Oh,
Nice work.
That's what the shades are for.
Oh yeah.
It's to hide all of the dread that's
Yeah. The bags. Yeah, I know, man. I get it. I'm with you.
Dude, I've always said your choice to wear sunglasses is actually the most genius idea for a commentary.
It's great.
Like, it has so many benefits that people don't even realize. Like, not only can you be tired and nobody will know, but you can also like read or look at brackets and nobody will know that you're
David.
reading or scripts or looking at
Can I
brackets.
say a story from Final Combat about you, David?
Yeah.
This was one time where he directly felt the impact of my aviators on commentary, because we had to do a read off for like a commercial or something of like coming back from a break and going to a break, and the script was over here, and so David had to look over and memorize a little bit and then try to go, but then it was so long that all right, hold on, I gotta read this again.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm looking right at it while looking right at the camera, just reading it word for word.
What a genius, dude. Oh, it's too smart.
Well, before we let you go, I actually have had this question loaded up the entire time.
Ooh.
I need to know, why the stash? Where did that come from? When did this start? What's the history behind the Mr. Aquaman mustache?
It's the only thing I can grow that looks good. But when going back to kind of one of my origin stories in Injustice 1, I did really well in the first tournament, and I traveled to a tournament called Summer Jam, got 9th, and I, at the time, kind of infamously upset one of the best players on the planet. His name was CD Jr.
Okay.
I actually double eliminated him from bracket to get into top 16.
Sick.
And a very large community figure at the time, Pig of the Hut, was like, "Who is this Tom Selleck looking motherfucker that Sorry, not the curse. I don't know.
No, do it. There's no limitation. There's no limitation.
It was like, who's this Tom Selleck looking guy that just beat CD Jr.? And then he made a Test Your Might post that's front paged that has a picture of Tom Selleck of like mustached warrior in top 16, and I just rolled with it. Honestly.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's there for life at this point now.
Mm-hmm. And let that be a lesson to everyone, like, to use anything like that to your advantage to build a brand. Like, I cannot tell you how many wonders that has done for me. You know, people affiliate me with so many things because I've done such a good job of building a brand. Most people think I'm an alcoholic. I don't drink a lot, only on stream.
Your stream.
Only on stream. Wait, don't you stream 35 hours a week? Isn't that what you just got?
Hey, what is this? Come on. Come on.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
but no, you know that it just helped with kind of building a brand, and it's something that helped when I traveled to events. They're like, oh, mustache guy, and
sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's your brand, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's strong. It's strong.
If you guys have anything like that, you know, definitely use it to your advantage. And I hope you guys learned something about this space, and keep playing, everyone. Keep playing those games. Keep entering tournaments. Let's keep going.
Please to plug yourself. Where can people follow you, etc.?
Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Aquaman, and also MISTER as it says right there. And then on Twitch, MR Aquaman, because someone stole my Twitter account. Aquaman's a pretty popular name, so I can't really be that angry. And second piece of advice real quick is pick a much cooler name when you start, because there's no going back after you're known. All right,
that is 100% true.
Something way cooler than Mr. Aquaman. All right, I have to go to a family reunion and talk to my 12-year-old nephew who's like, "Why's your name Aquaman?"
You pull out the Aquaman wallet.
I mean,
here's why.
Obviously, you've already went into it. I ask everyone, but it was just because you like Aquaman, and that was it.
Yeah,
and you're missing. That's it. It's the whole story.
All right, that was literally it. And follow me on Twitch and Twitter. That's where all my events go down. That's where I try to not only talk about my events, but I try to shout out as many other events as possible. Like David was talking about earlier, I do get to work with a lot of other community events in the NetherRealm space. And there's a lot going on. We have a lot of great grassroots organizers doing crazy things online. And that's one of the best things about the NetherRealm space right now is you guys can tune into some awesome online events. So check them out.
I definitely agree with that. Cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
And also, thanks to Solid Bones for the raid of 257. What's going on, everyone?
Oh, dang, nice.
Ooh.
Good stuff. What's going on?
Welcome to the
Solid
street.
Bones. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
If you guys are wondering what's going on, we just talk about FGC every week. And as you probably just saw, we try to bring on guests and interview them and just, talk about our opinions on a bunch of stuff as well. So,
well, it was cool to hear from Mr. Aquaman. He's a good dude.
Yeah, that was cool.
Thanks a lot to him for coming on. Little insight into his background in there. The fact that he isn't an Aquaman player just will never not be funny. It's just great. It's just a great fact about the world.
Yeah. And
also,
again,
he's right. Aquaman is super boring. Very boring character.
I don't think my ability to talk to fish will help us this time.
Yeah, but also, like, what a funny... Like, I feel like you get an insight into his personality and, like, the quirkiness and interestingness of it, that his favorite superhero is Aquaman. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
what? Like, what?
For sure.
Dang.
All right.
Like,
all
it's
right.
like that.
I mean, I've talked to them about this before. Like, it is great. It is great, though.
Man.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the 5-5 matchup segment. This is where viewers send in questions and we let the people in chat pick the two that we're going to talk about. Fighting game related stuff. Let's talk about what the topics are for this week. Here we go. And by the way, do you have the poll set up?
I'm setting it up right now.
Okie dokie. Once he has it set up, you'll just be able to vote right here in chat. Here's number one. If you had to do a money match against Justin Wong, but got to choose the fighting game, what game would you choose and how likely are you to win? Number two, if there was an exhibition of online versus offline warriors in any game, who would you bet on? Number 3, how do you feel about the current state of the FGC and its division between grassroots and mainstream? Do you agree with Holdback to Block's video about how the FGC needs to be like wrestling with its mixture of grassroots and esports presentation? 4, Japanese Street Fighter League this season ditched the ban system and has away and home games. Away team specifies player order up front. Home team sees that and chooses who to put up after each game. Is this better than a character ban system? Number 5, should fighting game balance be based on execution difficulty? People don't seem to mind overpowered things as long as they're difficult to execute, like Rev 2 Johnny, almost all versions of Akuma, etc.
Yeah, I agree with the guy in the chat who just said that these is that these are good questions this week. This is really good questions. Exclamation mark 1, exclamation mark 2, exclamation mark 3, exclamation mark 4. Exclamation mark 5. Start typing them into the chat. If you are a subscriber to us, you can also put in 2 votes. So normally if you put in a changed vote, it erases your previous one. But if you are a subscriber, you will register 2 votes in there. So
and don't forget it's September, so those subs are discounted.
That's right. That's right. And I see David and Tubo affecting the results here with their votes.
Yeah, I'm a sub. I pay for that right.
Yeah, man, look, you can vote for yourself in real elections too.
That's true. Shansung enters his own tournaments, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So, wow, actually, we've got a pretty close one here, so I'm going to let it rock. I mean, literally, 3 of them are basically tied right now.
Ooh, okay, all right. Well, get those votes in whilst you can. Exclamation point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Usually I can call it at this point and just be like, literally 3 of them are tied on my screen, 28.3%. Like,
oh, really?
all
Oh, no.
3 of them have the exact same count. What should I do?
Well, you should put in your vote, James, is what you should do.
You're going to be the tiebreaker, James.
You should put in your vote, James.
Fine.
He's going to vote for one of the other 2.
Yeah, I know.
Exclamation point 2.
All right, let's give it a countdown.
Okay.
Take it from 10.
10,
That's way too
9,
9, 8, 7, 6,
6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's all.
1. All right. Let's lock in. So close the poll for votes. Are you serious?
We're serious. What happened?
What'd you get?
Are you serious?
You got a 3-way
Is it
tie?
a 3-way tie again? If it's a 3-way tie, we're picking.
We're just gonna pick. Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't got time for this.
Yeah.
We're on a tight schedule nowadays.
26.47.
What? It actually tied 3 ways. That's
all
so
3
great.
of them. I clicked close, and it's literally all 3 of them are tied. I think we should do all 3, probably, right?
All right, fine, but we'll be fast about it because we are again trying to actually end on time these days.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you had to choose a money match, but against Justin Wong, but got to choose the fighting game, what would you choose?
You should change the subject too.
Yes, yeah. I'm doing that right now.
And this is great. This is great that this is what we're starting with here because this is a fast answer.
Yes. For me, there's not a single fighting game that I could pick that I could beat Justin Wong in. I don't think. Not a single. Okay, so I do have a winning record against Justin. I am 1-0 with our mains in Super Turbo, but that was at B4, I think it was, or B5. When he was playing Vega, he wasn't even an old Sagat player at the time. He's beaten me again, but that was in a tournament where we weren't allowed to use our mains, so that doesn't count. So, but now that he uses old Sagat, I don't think I could even beat him in that game. So, I don't think that there is a game that I could beat him in. Like a fighting game
now
at all.
that he uses old Sagat. He's been playing old Sagat for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So John Carson Games jokes, dive kick probably. Well, let me tell you, I've played Justin Wong in the grand finals of a dive kick tournament and I lost. So that's I think I would say I would play Mortal Kombat 11 against him because I know that he hasn't been playing Mortal Kombat 11. That's all. I would try to pick a game where I know that he hasn't played and a game that has like enough tech required that I could just beat him because I know the tech and he doesn't know the tech. Like he'll see strings for the first time and not know if they're overheads or lows. And that's my chance. And it has to be does it say how many games we have to play?
No.
Money match. We're playing a 1st-2, baby. 1st-2, me versus Justin Wong in Mortal Kombat 11.
There you go.
A game that he's never played, and that's basically my chance.
I'd play Justin in the original UFC game on Xbox 360.
Okay, so again,
that game literally had a random knockout factor. You could jab someone and they could just buckle, and that's the match. So yeah, I can definitely hit a few Superman punches with Chuck Liddell on Justin Wong and take him out. Absolutely. Also, I played the shit out of that game. I played a lot of that game. And I know that Justin has not. So yeah, see me in UFC on Xbox 360, Bucko. I'll play you for 5K. Put it up.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, if Tetris was an option as a fighting game, 100%. I mean, he's good at Tetris. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's not me. Let's just put it that way. So, I mean,
okay.
What about Puyo Puyo?
No, I suck at Puyo Puyo. Like I couldn't touch him in Magical Drop. He's ridiculous at that game, and he's definitely good at those. But
what about? Oh no, you don't play Puzzle Fighter. Damn.
Yeah, I don't.
K John 86 says a more accurate question would be how many matches would it take for Justin to learn a new game to beat your ass in it? That's why it's the 1st-2. It's not many games. It's not many.
I will always tell the story that he went to one tournament. This was pretty early on. This was during Street Fighter 4. But he won 100% of the tournaments that he entered in, including the side tournament of Vampire Savior, including KOF 2002, which he told me he had never played before. And he just used his 98 strategies. And I mean, that's just how he is. Dude.
More recently, I watched this now a while ago, but in CEO when Sam Show was new, and who was it? Who was
Corey
playing?
Bell. It was Corey Bell.
Yeah, it was Corey. That's right. Yeah. So Corey and Justin sit down to play a Tam Tam mirror, and Justin hadn't played the game yet. Corey's been grinding it. He's a really good player, and. Yeah. How many games did it take for Justin to never lose again? It was just like 2 or 3, right? It was literally games. Almost right away.
And then they played in grand finals, and I think Justin won, right? So,
that's how it goes. All right.
Corey did himself in at that point.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do the next one here. Question number 5. How do you feel about the current state of the FGC and its division between grassroots and mainstream? Do you agree with Hold Back the Block's video about how the FGC needs to be like wrestling with its mixture of grassroots and esports presentation?
Well, I haven't watched the video. I am subscribed to that channel, as everybody should be. Shout out to Esteban. But I haven't seen the latest one yet. So I don't know specifically what the video says. But
yeah, I have not watched it either.
No,
go ahead.
You can go.
I was going to say, but I am definitely in the minority, and I'm going to get booed and jeered out of this chat right now. But I think wrestling sucks. So, no, I don't want those corny-ass storylines in the FGC. I want organic, real stories. I want Hotashi versus Marn, followed by Hotashi versus Punk. I don't want esports pretend crap storyline. I don't want it. It's stupid. It's boring. It's lame. Just to be fair, I think the storytelling of wrestling sucks. The athleticism and the matches and the choreography, great. You guys, that's awesome.
Of course,
for sure.
But the actual the Vince McMahon storyline bullshit, get that out of. No, I don't want that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Also, it gives people the feeling that they can go, I'm just a villain in the FGC and say terrible shit and get away with it. It's been done several times before. I can't support that the way that the people treat that. If you do terrible shit, you're not a villain. You're just a bad person. So I just think it supports that. It's whack.
Do you want to go, David, or do you want me to go?
Well, I agree with that. I don't particularly. I mean, I'm not somebody who watches wrestling. I was when I was in my younger days. But
yeah, for sure. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not opposed to it in any way. It's just it's not something that I'm watching now. As far as grassroots and esports presentation, right? That's what the. Do you agree with Holdback to Block's video about how the FGC needs to be like wrestling with its mixture of grassroots and esports presentation? If again, I haven't seen the video, but if it's talking about the presentation and not the forced storylines, then I think there is some aspect of it that we do need. I like the fact that the FGC has, I would say personally, a pretty good mix of grassroots and esports presentations. We definitely still have the tournaments. Well, maybe pre-COVID. I'm sure that these will come back, but in fact, some of them already have the tournaments where they're just locals, they're just small. You know, those are absolute grassroots. You have the majors that still feel very grassroots, right? They feel like the same kind of environments that they've felt like for many, many years.
Just
those
bigger.
are still there. And they do not feel at all to me like esports events. And then at the upper level, you definitely have like big esports events. You know, we for sure have that stuff now. It's not just, it's Evo again in offline days. It's WePlay was doing it for a while. Red Bull was doing it for a while before that. Like we have these things. So I like that we have all of those, and I think that all of those are necessary. I would not want to see us only do one or only do another. I like having that mix. It is fun for me as a viewer to have that mix. And for me as a player, I think I would like that. I'm not actively competing, but I do really like having the grassroots style. I think I would enjoy having the opportunity to be in an esports production as a player too, and as a commentator. I think it's fun. Yeah, like if I'm doing a weekly stream, my style of commentary is different than if it's an absolute mega major, or even if it's like a grassroots major versus a Red Bull kind of production. Like those feel different. They allow me to do different things on commentary. So I like having this mix. Yeah. And if that's what the point of the video is about, then I'm on board with that.
Yeah, again, some people are asking why we're talking about wrestling. I don't have the whole question on there, but it says, do you agree with Holdback to Block's video about FGC needs to be like wrestling with its mixture of grassroots and esports presentation? I agree with the premise, because I don't think grassroots and esports presentation are mutually exclusive. I think you can definitely handle both of it. My favorite example of that is more of just what Inside the NBA did during its prime. I always bring up this example when it was Ernie Jet and Charles Barkley, when it was just the three of them on the Inside the NBA, because they were just saying whatever they want. Highlights would come out. Sometimes they weren't even talking about the highlights. They created they talk about the gone fishing meme to the point where all the players would even be like, "Yo, tell Kenny and Charles that we're not going fishing just yet." Like when they don't get eliminated, and it pervade through there. And these are guys sitting in the studio with suits on and everything, but they were just like talking smack to each other the whole time and stuff, and we can do that. Like that's what we can definitely do. But again, what's beautiful about the FGC, like David said, is that we have the leeway to do whatever we want. Right? We haven't been niched into these kind of things. And one of my favorite things is the TOs choosing to go the routes that they do, right? So, for example, L.I. Joe, for East Coast Throwdown, they go a very heavy metal route, right? They bring in the music, they go into that realm. Jabali literally turned CEO into like a wrestling tournament kind of thing. Like, he had his wrestling thing. And, I love the fact that different people have a different idea of how to present their events, and that's the way it should go, right? I mean, CEO was more esports. Combo Breaker is more community focused, still fairly esports, but still very grassroots. And a lot of people say, when you go to Evo, and you're like, oh, Evo is so esports now. Dude, people are still playing on fold out tables with the little black drapery over them. You know, I mean, I've heard esports people discuss it before, and they're like, wow, this is way more ghetto than I thought it would be. Like, this is actually
true.
not nearly as, like, I thought it would be fancier than this. And it's like, you know, get out of
they
here.
do.
Dude,
They use
whatever.
that word about it too. That's why
Yeah, and like,
which is not great.
Right, exactly. And so, like, I just like the fact that we have that opportunity to do both. But again, as a man who has come from the arcade culture, the grassroots thing, the you have a quarter, you can play, you pay the entry fee, you can play, is something that's super important. I don't know if we can maintain it forever because there's just going to be too many people who don't have that experience. So they'll never be able to really relate to it. But as long as a bunch of us old people are still doing stuff, I mean, hopefully we can maintain it as much as possible because I think it's really important to the community. I really do think it defines our community in a lot of way with this whole, you know, anyone can play, anyone can enter, anyone could be a champion. Just because you're Daigo or Justin doesn't mean you shouldn't challenge them, you know, which is why I actually laud what Roundhouse did. I don't want to have the players elevated to a point where it's like they're them and we're just us, you know. Like, I want Mr. Aquaman to beat Tom Brady, you know, at an event like that. You know, that's the important thing to me, and hopefully we can maintain that. So
I hear that. All right, let's get to the third of these.
all right, and sorry, I found a cat whisker, and I'm playing with the cat whisker on my. That's why my hands are fidgeting. Some people were asking, like, they were like, "Are you dunking a tea bag? What are you doing, James?" So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. So
All right, we got a minute 30 to answer this.
Should fighting game balance be based on execution difficulty? People don't seem to mind overpowered things as long as they are difficult to execute, e.g., Rev 2, Johnny, almost all versions of Akuma, etc.
No,
Okay.
that's it. No.
.com.
I mean, look at the cross-up arcade stick and what happened with Electric Wing Godfist. I think that's a perfect example of balancing behind execution being a poor design choice.
But do you mean because it could be upset so easily? Like all you need is a new kind of controller and that.
Yeah, it's just
Balance is
we're
wrong.
going to keep hardware is going to keep progressing. We're going to find easier ways to execute. So doing that is like, do you really want to challenge the people with the ability to, you know? Then we have to limit controllers and blah blah. I don't like it personally.
Tekken, I think, is unique in that aspect because switching controllers doesn't change the execution in a Guilty Gear game a lot of the time. Like, I think Xrd is just as hard depending on what you're using. I think Tekken is actually just a really, really specific one because they built some really joystick button specific execution, which is was not a good idea. I think that fighting games are always balanced based off of execution difficulty. You know, obviously there are some differences with that in terms of, like, you know, Rising Thunder and stuff like that. But I mean, there's a reason why the SPD input is always going to be an SPD input a lot of the times. You know what I mean? Like, it's designed.
Well, isn't it half circle back forward for Potbuster, or am I mistaken?
That, and you can do you can also do a 360 on that one. But the thing about it is, no matter what you do, that's going to take at least 6 frames to execute. No matter what, because it's the half circle forward motion, right? It's intentionally designed that way. If you could do 5/8 of a circle, again, that's 6 frames of execution no matter what. And so if Zangief could walk up and in 1 frame SPD you in Super Turbo, it changes how he plays drastically. If he could walk up and 1 frame you, even in Street Fighter V with a single button, that changes how Zangief plays drastically. The games are always balanced around that kind of thing. And so the whole idea of trying to eliminate execution from fighting games, I think, is just not a real thing. Like, it's always.
Well, I don't think you should eliminate execution. I just don't think you should lock strong characters behind execution.
Yeah,
that's all.
I mean, like I said, I think that's just kind of gonna be stuck that way, and I just feel like that's just gonna happen to a lot of characters. So
is it though? Because I don't think that's a problem in Granblue. It's really not too much of a problem in like Killer Instinct.
Well,
It's not
I mean,
a problem
there
in
are
Super
certainly
Turbo either.
there are. Yeah, Super Turbo
where
is another
Zangief
one.
is not good, right? Like so it's not the case that difficulty and execution is hiding good or bad balance necessarily. I think there are some cases where, in large part, players have figured things out that are hard to do that are really good. I feel like that is maybe more commonly the
For
case.
sure. Yeah.
But as far as like the intentional design, I don't really like the idea of having difficult execution be what is like the gateway to a strong character. I'm cool with there being a character or multiple characters that require strong execution because there are people who like that, and those characters shouldn't be bad because I mean, nobody should be bad ideally, but also if you're going to put in a lot of time to the character, you don't want it to be bad, and I think that's probably true whether it takes a lot of execution style learning or if it takes a lot of just like strategic and different situations kind of learning. Those characters probably shouldn't be bad. But like still, regardless, I don't want it to be the case that learn good thing equals strong character. And and as far as this question goes, I don't think it's true. I mean, I'm not a Guilty Gear player, so tell me if this is not. But I suspect it's not true that people are actually cool with Johnny if he's so strong. And I also definitely know that when Akuma has had strong stuff that takes difficult execution to do, people are still not cool with it. So it like every time that I've seen,
Zato is another good example.
I don't think that it's true that people don't mind these things being overpowered as long as they're hard to do. I just they don't do that themselves maybe, but I don't know that makes anybody who's not doing the thing be like, well, but it's hard, so it's cool.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, I don't think Akuma has ever really been a high execution character in any form.
Yeah, I would agree that Akuma is not high execution. But, whatever. The person who asked the question felt that way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things, to consider, right?
Oh, I got
mean,
Thanos snapped again.
Oh, dang. Okay. Like, I mean, if you talk about something like a parry, right? Parry, it needs to be harder to do, right? Obviously, there is an execution factor on there. And the reason why most people are okay with that execution factor is because it's dependent on the opponent, right? But, I mean, once the Chun-Li super starts and Daigo starts parrying the whole entire thing, if it was Street Fighter V and I can mash parry and then only pause at one point and then mash parry, it's not nearly as exciting as it was as the third strike, right? So, there's always going to be some things that you have to consider execution for. So it's...
Yeah, I don't think the character or the discussion is like, is execution a good idea or not, right? It's just
But the whole thing is like, that's how you're balancing parries, right? You're balancing the concept of parries by giving them a small window to actually connect, right? You have to balance.
Well, is a universal system mechanic balanced though? I'm not sure.
I guess I didn't think about that. But I guess if you want to read that,
maybe it is, right? Like each character could use the tools differently. I don't know.
Right, but
it's a difficult question.
Let's say then you make it so that only one character has a parry. Do you want to make that harder to execute so he's not broken? That's the question, right? Let's say you gave Gil third strike style parry instead of the kind of parry that he has in the game right now. He just hits forward or down. Would you make sure the window is a certain size to make sure his parries are not too strong? Or should it not matter? In other words, if he has a parry, just give him a 5 parry window. It's fine because, it doesn't matter. You could, or do you actually balance it that way? So again, in those kind of situations, I feel like execution is going to be a factor, right? You're going to put something like that in there. Now, if you're going to balance a character so that they have to do quarter circle forward times 9, just to be, because that move just gives you an instant win, that's dumb, right? Obviously you need to have that kind of balance, but like Gold Lewis has a 1080 there, for example, Voldo has a really great whiff punishing lethal hit that's 666B. You have to tap forward 3 times, so it's harder to get out as compared to just 66B, for example. Like, things will always kind of come into a factor, right? Those little things will always be there. It shouldn't dominate the game. You shouldn't balance around it, but it should always be a understanding factor and an effect into how you create a character, basically. So,
All right, cool. Well, let's move on.
Pew! Melty Blood, type Lumina.
Let's talk about Melty. So there was a character trailer for Noel. There's also a bunch more gameplay footage on their YouTube channel. If you'd like to check that out, there are matches with Shiki's on there. I'm opening up right now in CL as well. So if you'd like to check that out, you can. The game comes out September 30th, which is pretty soon now. We're in that month. That's the month that we're in.
And we are there.
So if you are, at all curious about the game, I recommend checking it out. Did you guys check out these trailers or gameplay?
Yes, I did, actually. Again, the character aesthetics are hard for me to get around a little bit just because I feel like a lot of the characters look the same. But having watched the match footage really left an impression on me. One, the game is beautiful because if you look at it compared to the original Melty Bloods, like the sprites are just really, really high res, and it's just it's a very nice looking game, and it's cool because it's a 2D game, which we don't have a lot of these days. And then
Amber Alert! James, go save him! Run outside!
Silver Alert, missing endangered elderly. Interesting. Okay, are you getting it?
Silver Alert?
That's what that is?
It was going off on my phone too. I just
guys, you have to go save the elderly.
I'll
take the show from here. You guys go save the elderly person, please.
Good luck out there.
But I also want to say, though, that the pacing, the speed of the game looks really fun. Like, even before the fight starts, you guys can just run around and dash everywhere, and then it's fight, kind of Marvel style, but even, like, more freeform. And I just really like the way that the game was moving and the speed of it. And again, I have no history with Melty Blood. And so when I was watching that match and seeing how it moved, I saw some of the mechanics. Like, if you lose a round, you gain an extra bar. It seems like everybody has 3 bars, and as soon as you lose a round, you get a 4th bar added. So you can store up to 4 supers and stuff like that. I don't know. It looked very clean. And so I'm kind of excited about that. I'm kind of excited to see what this game can do. And like I said, with the fact that it has rollback netcode, I've seen a lot of people picking up the fan-made Melty Blood game that actually the actress again that has the rollback built into it, and a lot of people are saying positive things about it. So I'm excited for the game. I don't know how much I'll play it just because there's too many damn fighting games. But like I said, I'm excited to see the community embrace the game, basically.
Well, I've only saw what Sajam shown. So Sajam goes live right at the end of my workday. I turn on Sajam. He goes, "What's up, guys? Going on, Sajam fans? Giuna here." And then he talks about Melty Blood. He's like, "Well, listen, guys, looks like you get an extra bar." That's why I knew about the extra bar. So, but yeah, I've only seen the footage that Sajam is harshly critiqued. He's actually excited for the game, just to be clear.
It reminds me of Injustice. That's what immediately jumped to my mind watching that game. I'm an Injustice player. I really, really like the Injustice games. They're very boring looking. And I always had a really hard time convincing people to play Injustice with me. And it didn't work, really. I had to go looking for people to play. Because it's boring looking. Like, the colors are washed out. Nothing's happening in the backgrounds. The character models are really, really nice, like the sprites in Melty. Yeah. They're very nice sprites. Very, very nice models, but they're just not doing like flashy stuff most of the time. Mm-hmm. I find those games so fun. Honestly, they're some of my favorite fighting games. I love Injustice. I understand why people aren't playing. Like the music is completely forgettable. You might have heard it and you didn't even know. Batman slowly walks up the steps, presses the button calmly, quietly, and the computer goes, "Injustice, let's fight," or whatever. I don't remember what it is at the round start. I don't know why they made it like that. Like, it's such a fun game, and the audio visuals technically great, also boring. That's how I feel about Melty. So I'm gonna play it because it looks like it's a fun game to me. The gameplay looks cool. The art style is completely forgettable to me. I feel like most of the characters so far are I mean, there's going to be different colors, but like they're all blue or black colored
Well,
characters.
there's a color editing mode in the
There's
game.
going to be an edit. Yep.
You can make whatever colors you want.
Yep, absolutely right. And with Injustice, like I would always put on weird colors in Injustice too, because you can do that, right? You can make your own effectively. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the two in that way. So I'm looking forward to the gameplay. The gameplay looks like it's a lot of fun. I will definitely try it out. I don't remember what any of the characters looked like or sounded like, or if there was music, or one of the stages was,
or if there was music.
There's a building in the background on the stage that I was watching. It was so boring. But whatever, that's not really what matters to me. What matters to me is how fun the game is, and it looks like it's a fun game to play.
Also,
Cool.
recently shown was Ash was revealed in the big trailer that was shown at Gamescom already. But we've got an official Ash trailer there. I know in the Gamescom trailer, everyone thought that he looked kind of funny. The lips were kind of look weird, but I felt like in the new trailer, it looked a little better. But again, obviously we don't have the shock and surprise like, Ash is back, for this kind of thing. Ash looks like Ash to me. We haven't done a synchronized episode on it, so I don't have any updates on changes of lore or anything like that for you guys here. But definitely looked cool, and brand new model. It wasn't in 14. And so, Ash looks really cool. Ash looks like Ash.
I mean, look, I thought Ash looked good. I'll be honest. That has not always been my opinion about KOF 15 trailers, but I thought Ash looked good.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool. I think the particle effects continue to be a struggle in that game, but the rest of it looks good, I think. Yeah,
clearly the characters that were made for 14 are a lot stronger looking. I mean, made for 15 are stronger looking than the characters that are coming back from 14. Like, I mean, I watched like the King trailer by itself, I thought she looked kind of odd, not terrible. But then in the Gamescom trailer, they showed like character, and King kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, and it didn't look very good. To be fair, you can actually see the particle effects changing like with every single trailer that they make and stuff like that. But you could definitely tell that they're not pros at it, though.
I mean, there's a while. I hope that they can fix that because they have made the rest of the game look a lot better, I think.
Yeah, and also, I know you didn't have this in the notes, but I heard this from Olaf. But tomorrow, apparently the new Famitsu drops, and supposedly there's a big thing of KOF 15 in the Famitsu as well. So we may be getting a bunch new information, or may reiterate everything that's on the website already. But we'll see what happens at that point in time. So,
let's move on.
And again, someone in the chat says, I hope KOF has good rollback netcode. The good part about it is, even if their netcode is kind of bad, I would hope that means that they would try to fix it. But obviously, Sam shows that that's...
I was going to say, let me tell you a story about this game called Samurai Showdown.
Exactly. So, but in any case, let's move on.
That's right. The Injustice, when the round starts, it's just the computer goes, begin. Why? I don't know. Anyway. I'll never not be. I mean, anyway, it's a rant for another time. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. We've been talking about this game. We've been seeing more of it. We have now seen character move lists for SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy Cheeks.
Yep.
Everybody's favorite.
Yep.
And what it shows is, I mean, it shows like what the characters are doing, I guess. But I think kind of at least as important is that it shows that the game has 3 buttons. There's like a light, a heavy, and a special. So it's not going to just be the same as like Smash is, for example.
Right.
It doesn't look like it has like tilts. It just has like up, down, and stuff. Cool. I mean, I think that's cool.
Dude,
it's releasing crazy. October 5th as well. We have found out.
Dude, they like the fact that they're putting out move lists like that for people. Like, I feel like they're really trying. Like, I feel like this group was probably like, you need to make a Nickelodeon fighting game, typical kind of tie-in kind of thing or whatever. And they were probably like, yo, let's make this good. It feels like the developers are trying so hard with whatever limited resources they probably have. So I'm actually excited, and the fact that not officially announced rollback, etc., etc. But like, if they do have the rollback in there, dude, like that'd be so sick. It feels like that they're really
my Ren and Stimpy.
You're Ren and Stimpy, dude.
I'm telling you, they're gonna be ice climbers. They have to be.
No way. That's Lil and Phil for sure.
No, they haven't been announced. They're not in the game.
It's Lil and Phil are ice climbers.
Oh wait, are they? I don't even remember. They've been out so many
I have
characters.
no idea.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, it depends.
They haven't been, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Anyways, also,
like I said, releasing October 5th, so also pretty soon, under a month, actually.
Yeah, that is true. Melty Blood is coming out later this month as well, right? So Cat Dog was already revealed. Yep. So Cat Dog's already in there.
Yeah, Cat Dog's one revealed. Character, but you can't lose cat or dog. They're connected.
Yeah, literally. That would be too grotesque for this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
guts everywhere.
Cat Dog.
Yeah. Okay.
Tough Love Arena is actually getting
Tough
some
Love
changes.
Arena. It has been getting a lot of changes. So we talked about Tough Love Arena beginning of this year. It launched. It's a game that is free to play and is really pared down. It's a simplified-ish fighting game, but it's really cool. We played it a lot.
You can play it on your browser, everything.
Yes, you play it on the browser.
On your mobile, can play it on your phone. Just mobile. Go on the browser. You can play it. So
yeah, it's got great rollback. It's got different interesting character designs. I really like the game, and it has been getting recent changes, and it's got an active community. The reason that I bring it up now is that yesterday the developer had a really cool stream that talked about kind of state of the game that I like. I thought it was a really good kind of encapsulation, and here's what's coming up next. So he talked about the changes that they've done. He talked about community feedback and the community polls that they had done, which were like, which of these characters are enjoyable to play, which are enjoyable to play as, that kind of stuff. Feedback about, which characters are really good from people, and his views on like, is this character too good? Is this character not good? This character is really good, and that's cool. I intend this character to be good, right? That kind of feedback I thought was really cool. It's not something that you tend to get from fighting game developers in that sort of way, at least in that granular kind of a breakdown. And then after that, he had a list of upcoming changes. So talking all about, here are the changes that we're going to make in the not just in the gameplay, but like stuff that's coming to the game. Here's new outfits, new training mode options. It's also a game that allows mods. So talking about like the things that have been going on with the mod side of things, and menu improvements, AI. Like it was a very well done breakdown of where the game is and where it's going. So I thought cool. I just wanted to talk about that because I think that's awesome. Really cool. Talking a little bit about like what each character is going to get in upcoming changes. Not in every case saying exactly what's going to happen, but in some cases just being honest. Like I think that this character needs some changes. I'm still thinking about what to do. So I thought it was cool.
That's cool.
That's neat. I like that.
Anyway, check it out.
Good involvement.
Okay. Yeah, the game has a really unique art style that I think is pretty cool. So check it out. It's Tough Love Arena.
Right. Also, Flycast, which is an emulator for the Dreamcast that has been used in Fightcade and such minimally. That a lot of people have been using, is now getting updated, and in fact actually has been updated to support online GGPO network play.
Sure has.
For the Dreamcast. And I have seen video footage of people out there playing Power Stone with other people online, and which is cool. Now obviously a lot, like, look, one of the first conversations to have are, look, Dreamcast 3D fighting games, and look, rollback works. Now, obviously, those games require a lot less power to save state and rewind and do all these things like that.
Yep.
It's a lot harder for modern games to do that. But yeah, it's out there, and people are using it And
It's still in beta though. It's not like an
Yes.
official release.
And in fact, some games still don't work on it, and they keep trying to update it to work with different games and such. But one such game, for example, is KOF 11, which is probably the most unique KOF game out there. One that is near and dear to Olaf's heart, for example. It's the Marvel vs. Capcom version, which has the active tagging. It's the only, like, one of the only ones, and was, according to Gibby, like one of the most popular ones whenever he ran tournaments. And it just came out at that really weird, awkward time between 2D and 3D and like new generation of consoles. And like most people don't even know the game practically exists. And I just think that's super exciting because now me and Olaf are talking about running like KOF 11 tournaments online and stuff like that using Flycast. And it's getting integrated into Fightcade. So they're working on more of the integration with it. So it should work on Fightcade as well to get that GGPO in there. And this is really cool. I mean, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Exciting
It
to
is.
see. Yeah.
I played CVS2 a little bit online on Fightcade.
No
but,
DC.
But yeah, it's gonna be super sick to actually have rollback for that.
Yeah. Can you imagine CVS2 could get a resurgence, dude, right? I mean,
People are already playing it on Null DC that really wanted to play. I mean, I played
That's
David
true.
on that.
Yeah, I
and
guess we
such.
have played on that. That's true.
oh, is that
But
rollback
ease of
access?
access would be nice,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the rollback netcode would be nice because Null DC was not rollback. It was
Yeah,
still
that's what I was about
delay-based.
to ask.
I mean,
right? Yeah.
pretty good to be honest, but
It was good. Yeah, it was good delay based,
Not
but it
rollback.
was still delay
Because
based.
it'll also work for MVC2 as well. I mean,
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully one day they're still working on it.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, it's huge. If they get it going, it's huge for old school games.
So
totally
again,
agree.
See my
job.
Wang Tang.
Good job. That's the Power Stone character, right?
Oh, okay.
That
I
is,
never
yeah.
played Power Stone.
Yeah.
See my Wang Tang, dog.
All right.
I was
Let's talk
about to say
upcoming-
we might get taken off the air. If
Yeah, no, it's definitely a Power Stone
okay,
character.
okay, fair enough.
He throws spirit
Upcoming.
bombs. He has the Genki Dama.
This coming week. Well, we have an event coming up on Ultra Chen TV called the Commentator Cup. We talked all about it a couple of weeks ago. It's an event where we have invited 16 of our commentary friends to play Guilty Gear Strive against each other in a 16-person invitational. It's going to be really fun. Very much looking forward to it. However, we are postponing it for 1 week. So it will now be 1 week later than it was, which means that it will
On
be
the
Friday,
24th.
September 24th.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. As far as this coming week, and in fact the next couple of weeks, Vortex Arena is continuing. Last weekend was the first weekend of it. This is the former Anime Evo. Now is rebranded to Vortex Arena. If you haven't caught that message, there you go. Last weekend, they had several games. I watched a little bit of it. It was cool. There was, I should say, this coming week, there will be Gundam, ARMS, Mahjong Soul, Kyanta 2, Samurai Showdown 5 Special, Kill la Kill, Vampire Savior, Melty Blood Actress Again Current Code, and BlazBlue Central Fiction. If you want to see all the stuff that's going on, follow them on Twitter. They're at 956 Productions. The number's 956 Productions.
Sick.
Cool.
Nice. Good stuff.
That's some
Shout
cool
outs to
upcoming
them.
stuff.
All right. And we try to highlight a lot of community stuff, from time to time. Zaid Tabani, aka RedRapper, you may have remembered him doing a bunch of like fighting game rap songs and everything like that. Just recently released a brand new track. I've had him do Evo intros before. He was officially in the Street Fighter for Nintendo 3DS commercial. He has a lot of songs that are used for Evo intros and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But he's, gone to music school, done, really had some like really prestigious, classes and stuff at school. And he's really doing a lot of cool stuff. He wrote a new song. He sent it to me. I heard it and I was just like, this is just so cleverly written. I just kind of wanted to play it for everybody over here.
Sure.
So that you could hear it and listen to it. But I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it on your end. I hope you guys can hear it on your end.
No, we're not gonna be able to hear it on our end.
Oh, yeah, we hadn't thought about that.
So you got the link? I can just play it at the same time on my own.
Yeah, it
my
should
own
be
dome
in
ski.
the doc, but let me paste it in here Oops, no, that's not it right there. Yeah, copy link URL. Here you go. So there's the link right there. So go ahead and check this out. But I'm going to bring this up to you. The lyrics are actually in the video. So definitely take a listen to this, guys. And, hope you guys enjoy this. So here you go.
I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. Ain't it nice we don't feel no distance? I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. I don't wanna wait around, I want a connection. We've been thinking it'd be automatic when we try to link. Slow and static just after we hang up. We've been living separate, Jesus, we just feel so out of sync. Staggered our magic, just hoping it happens. I swear the crash has been killing me. The simple don't feel as deep. Like when we in my bedroom and you there sitting right next to me. I'm not hype when you far away. I close up, I stop and play. Like when we not together, this game just don't feel the same. I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. Ain't it nice we don't feel no distance? I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. I don't wanna wait around, I want a connection. It's like come on. You know this last shit messed me up good. Stuck on screens while I see how you look. Trying to stay in touch, but the second I push, it feels like you shook and not like we should. I just wanna feel like you're right there. FaceTime feel like you're fucking light years away. Time zone is strange, don't know what to say. The Discord cut off, my phone not in range. Our conversations all feel so basic. Trying to play with lag on the end of our statements. Not the way we met, man, the future hates us. Picture one frame off, we could hit the majors if we had that. Now the bottle open, we can never flash back. Sometimes I dream of trying to kiss you through the mask, yeah. Wonder if it never happened when we patched that. Hoping when I enter, you gon' ask back, roll back, roll back. I don't wanna wait around. Ooh, yeah. I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. Ain't it nice we don't feel no distance? I don't wanna jump around, let's just roll back. Now hold that. I don't wanna wait around, I want a connection. It's like fuck that up.
Whoa, swears.
Yep. But there you go. I mean, again, I just thought that was really cool, really clever lyrics, really well written. I think, talking about, like, obviously if you don't know anything about rollback netcode, you'll come in there and it means something completely different. But if you are a fighting game fan with knowing about rollback netcode, I think it's really nicely done, and it's different for him too, because it wasn't even a rap song. It was just mostly singing. So very different.
His YouTube channel is just his name, Zaid Tabani, ZaidTabani. So if
You can also type in RedRapper, it still pulls him up. I just did that.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. So
Yeah, cool.
go.
I could not hear it just now, although I listened to it earlier today. So I
I put it on. I put it on the same exact time as James. It was pretty
nice.
great.
nice work. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. I'm glad that he's doing well. He's doing cool things. It's definitely
Yeah,
cool.
that was dope.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to our final topic, the mailbag. This is where people just send us whatever question.
Also, if you do go to his channel, just let him know that Ultra Chen sent you there, right? So
Yeah, don't say mean things either, you jerks, and then say we sent you there.
That would not be nice.
Yeah, be nice.
Man.
All right, the mailbag. Send us whatever question you want. Maybe we'll answer it. We got about 20 minutes to do so because we're hoping to be out of here at 8. We got a hard cap.
Excuse you.
plenty
That's
of time.
10. Thank you.
I mean, whatever time it is.
Golly.
I don't know.
It's
What time
420
is-
somewhere.
I'm not sure it is. I don't know if
right.
anybody's that off. All right.
First question is from Nutacon here, who asks, Totsugeki has launched dolphins into our hearts and souls. If you can launch any animal at your foes, which animal would it be besides dolphins and whales?
I would launch the most dangerous of foes, the most dangerous animal, human beings.
You would ride a human like what's his face in Swiss Army guy or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Potter,
yes.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Swiss Army man. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
get
what you
the
would do.
reference, but yeah, totally. Yeah, why not?
There's an opening scene. This guy finds a dead body. It's Harry Potter guy. I can't think of his name
Daniel
right now.
Radcliffe.
And yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, and he
not
rides the
Harry
dead
Potter.
body of Daniel Radcliffe to shore by pushing on his belly and making him fart through the water. It's absolutely a David scene. It's probably the most David scene of all
It sounds
time.
like it might be the most David scene, yeah.
It might be. Yeah, it's a fantastic film though. It's really good. You should see it.
I don't know. All I
Scotty,
pictured was the giant boss from Symphonies of the Night. You know, the giant ball made out of human bodies, you know, with David just like
Ugh.
hurling chunks at people and
Ugh.
stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know if that's what I'm into.
Well, you're the one who said humans, man. That's on you.
Well, I think humans are dangerous, so that's what I would send out against my enemies.
If I got the ability to throw any animal I want, what's the biggest animal on Earth that we know of?
The blue
I would just
whale.
crush my enemies before me.
That's a great. You would just toss a blue whale. Imagine.
Yeah,
you
just
could-
boom.
Hold
win.
on. Besides dolphins, whales, that's in the question.
Oh, well then what's the second biggest thing behind a whale? Like what the biggest creature, like I'll throw elephants or whatever, like giant creatures that will crush you in one blow and then I win. Why would I throw anything else if I can just toss any animal? I'm trying to win, baby.
I think I still like my answer. What do you got, James?
I'm just thinking of like some sort of like crazy, ridiculous, like poisonous spider or something like that. Like you just so like you can't even see it when I toss it at you, right? I'll put it in the straw and I'll be like, you know, and then it just like lands on you and it's gonna be agitated and you're dead basically. So I think because you won't even have noticed anything. By the time you see it's there, it's too late.
I mean, my dude will already have used his shotgun. That's what I imagine.
No, no. We're just spawning the animal, not accessories. That wasn't part of the thing.
That's how
You don't get
humans
to like,
are.
oh, I spawned a human and he has the nuclear launch codes. Like, no, that's not.
Yeah, that's
not
right.
how this works.
I
Are you
spawned a
kidding me?
human
Get
and he
out
has
of here.
nuclear launch codes. Exactly.
No way. Get that shit out of here. That's not how this
Alright,
works.
let's move on. Nuclear launch codes. Number 2, mailbag. From
Freaking Gold Lewis, dude.
Phil
Man,
Holt.
he's just sending
Right?
lasers at people here. All right. Phil Holt via Twitter asks, for games where you don't care about or actively dislike the stage music, etc., what are some of your favorite playlists to substitute in? This is just like before we had the potential for DMCAs on streams, right? What would we play?
I generally just play the game music, man. I don't
Yeah.
care that much. Like, if the game music sucks, I probably don't play the game, honestly. NRS games, sorry.
The only time that I ever really played different music than the game music was when I was doing Breath of the Wild, just because, you know, it had been like hour 90 already, or hour 200
Sure.
that I'm playing the game already. And, you know, for me, it would be, you know, anything that I generally listen to, Lights, Chibomato, Asteroids Galaxies Tour, probably. You know, I wouldn't probably put on They Might Be Giants as much because it probably would have less of the wide appeal. Sometimes maybe other video game songs, but those are the ones that I remember playing. Was Chibomato, Asteroid Galaxies Tour, Asteroids Galaxy Tour, and Lights were the ones that I played.
I'm gonna have to say Roller Girl, Venga Boys, Scott Brown. and
All right.
the Revolutions podcast.
Podcast.
You listen to a podcast while playing a fighting game?
Yeah.
Oh, you are like
But what I
just
what I usually do, honestly, is just mute it. But I usually do that anyway. I often just mute fighting games that I'm playing.
yeah. You generally don't play the sound.
Oh man.
But also, the longer I know you, the you are definitely the nerdiest friend I have
What?
by far. Yeah.
Next question,
know a bunch of
Stephanie
nerds,
Brownback.
I do. I know a lot.
You do.
Stephanie Brownback. I mean, I feel good that I'm not the nerdiest person now. So,
Way nerdier than both of us.
Stephanie Brownback via Twitter asks, if you had to be someone's pet, which animal would you be and who would be your owner? There's a lot of animal questions here.
I will tell you right now, I am not going to answer this question based on it might awaken something in me. And I don't want to suddenly become a furry. All right. I'm not letting this happen. I'm avoiding this question.
Nothing
It
wrong
sounds
with furries, man.
I can see like what animal would you be, but then you're a pet. That's the next step. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Stephanie.
I'm just trying to think of like.
I think I'm going to make the same choice that I think Stephanie would make, which is that I would be my own cat, owned by me.
That was my first thought. Then I was like, wait a minute, that's too weird for me too. I don't want to swap bodies with Miles.
That's it. I think Ajax and Lyra are having a pretty good time. I think it seems like it's probably nice. So that's what I'm going with.
You
I'm just trying to think of like. I just want to be like someone who's like the pet of someone who's like ridiculously rich and takes care of their pet really, 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 really well. And they seem to live this amazing pet life. Like that's kind of where I just want to be as spoiled as darn as possible. So without ever having to have any worry. So there you go. That's what I'm doing. And what animal would I like to be? I would like to be like a pet tiger or something like that. Because then I could be a cat and I could be lazy, but at the same time, I'm also large and awesome at the same time. So I think that's what I would do. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Not too bad.
Yeah, cat getting fed sashimi. That sounds pretty good, dude. That sounds pretty good. I mean, look, if I could feed my cats raw meat all the time, I would do that. So I can't even say I spoil my cats as much as they should be spoiled, you know? So there you go.
Here we go.
All right.
We move
Here
on.
we go.
JW Park on Twitter asks, if your drink tier, list what would be the runner-up. We all know water is S tier, and F tier drink.
Okay, what's number 2, and then what's the worst? Is what this is asking. And
Number
by the
2.
way, correct. Water is number 1. What do you guys
Number
got?
2 is cran grape juice, closely followed by Guinness Stout. And the worst drink has to be like Sambuca or something disgusting, you know? Malort is the worst drink. Malort is the worst.
Answer.
It is the worst drink. Bottom tier.
My number 2 is probably coffee. Yeah, I agree. I would say water and coffee. Like that's probably actually 90+% of all the stuff I drink. Maybe higher than that. Like it's really just maybe the other is tea, but like it's really just those. And my worst F tier drink is absolutely some of the concoctions that were created by my frat bros when I was pledging the frat. Oh boy, let me tell you about some of the mixes that those guys came up with.
Oh dang, I keep resetting the timer. That's my mistake. My number 2 drink, I mean, is gonna be this guy right here because I drink way too much of this
James,
stuff.
you're a Pepsi guy.
Yeah, so
You're a pop guy.
My number 2 drink is Pepsi. Worst drink ever might be Crystal Pepsi. As somebody in the chat would verify, it tastes like ass. So yeah, it's not very good.
Dude, you have not tasted. Let me tell you, some of these concoctions.
This tweet that Curly drug up was amazing.
Which one?
That's great.
What does it say?
He just put it in the chat.
I gotta see this. Oh, it was Pepsi Blue. That's right. No, not Crystal Pepsi. Pepsi
I was like, Crystal
Blue.
Pepsi was just clear Pepsi. It was the same thing, just
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
sludge
yeah, yeah.
looking.
Okay, my mistake. Yes, it was Pepsi Blue. Crystal Pepsi was weird because it tasted like 7-Up, and I wasn't sure if it was that way because it was clear, and it was just weird. But Pepsi Blue, yes. Pepsi Blue was the one that tasted like ass. Yes, that is 100% correct. Thank you for the reminder and the correction there. Okay.
I don't remember what was in Liquid Pledgeo, but let me tell you, none of it was good.
Jiggly Purin via Twitter asks, what is the saltiest, scrubbiest thing you've ever said?
Let's see here. The scrubbiest shit I've ever said. Saltiest? I mean, I've said a lot of shit salty. But the scrubbiest thing that I probably consistently say, and I really don't even actually, I just play it up, is my hatred for grapplers. I actually don't even mind fighting grapplers that much if I'm being 100% honest. I just think grappler players should feel bad for how they play the video game.
Intelligently?
You're playing characters with command grabs. What are you talking about? May,
May is a brawler, not a grappler. There's a difference. I've played characters with command grabs. They're not grapplers though. There's definitely a difference.
I saw you playing Wesker on stream just a couple of days ago.
Wesker, that is a grappler. But I was just mirror matching Kinder Party, whatever. Like it's Marvel 3.
I don't think I have a lot of good answers for this. I think all that really comes to mind is back in the days when I was playing Q in the Third Strike era in the mid 2000s, I was salty, but like fatalistically salty about, which I guess is scrubby maybe in a way, about playing Q. Like I can recall traveling with friends to tournaments and being in the car and then being like, oh, I think I got a pretty good chance to take this tournament. And then the other friend being like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this tournament. What about you, David? And I'd be like, I probably will do badly. And then they'd be like, what do you mean? Why? And I'll just be like, because I'm playing Q. Like it's just very fatalistic. In my mind, I couldn't change playing Q. I was a Q player, and that was just like my self. It wasn't a character I was playing. I was a Q player, and that's a big distinction in my mind, which I think in retrospect was really scrubby.
Yep,
but
I agree.
That's maybe as close as I would get.
I mean, for me, all of mine are on YouTube at this point in time, right? So all the salty, scrubby stuff. Well, actually, not all of them are on YouTube. A lot of them are on the private Teppen chat that I'm in with a couple of friends as well, because that game has definitely made me mad. But maybe one of the scrubbiest things I ever said was that Dan beats Cammy in Street Fighter 4. But
I remember that one.
Yeah, you were the reason why I said that. So, yeah. No, I mean, I get angry easily, so I say a lot of stupid things, and so that's just the way it is. So,
all right, let's move on.
I don't think Mario Kart is on the. It might be actually if someone actually captured the DVD and just put it onto YouTube already. So,
all right, we got 3 questions left and 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, we gotta get through.
I know I'm stalling as I'm pasting stuff into the UI. Okay, look. Tavi Turnip via Twitter, should May be able to throw S and H anchors that stick to the wall like Ramlethal can? Should she have to retrieve them, or should they just respawn like her dolphins?
Wow, what a suggestion.
May should not change at all. They've already nerfed her. I don't want to change my game plan. I like playing May the way she is.
Okay, I respect that.
I say no just because I just want characters to be unique. There's no reason for them to be able to stick to the wall and stuff like that. So,
what if Ramlethal used dolphins instead of swords? Would she be cooler?
What if she had dolphin arms?
Dude, what
Wait,
if she
did
was
you just ask if May had swords, would she be cooler? You asked that question?
No, I asked if Ramlethal had dolphins, would she be cooler?
Oh,
instead of swords.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Someone's going to mod that into the game now. She's just going to have dolphins instead of her swords.
They will for sure.
They will for sure now. You just did it.
With the other yeah, okay.
That would be so much more interesting. Swords are not interesting, as you guys know.
But blades on chains, very interesting.
Yeah, sickles, they're cool.
You know what else is really interesting? David's dirty dishes. David's dirty dishes via Twitter asks, how long does it take dirty dishes to smell like your farts?
This is a question asked by somebody who has never let dirty dishes go unwashed for 3 months, because you would know the smell of dirty dishes that have been unwashed for 3 months, and it's not at all like a fart. It's something that
that's
just never
disgusting.
forget. I don't have a good memory. Okay, you guys know that. I can absolutely imagine what the smell is of those dishes hanging out on the sink.
Ugh.
Back in the old
Gross.
apartment in Berkeley, and it was, again, it's like just nothing else.
Bro, I like maybe last month I went a week without doing my dishes, and it was like death in my kitchen. I can't imagine what 3 months of that is like.
It was really bad.
That's
don't
disgusting.
Like
Yeah.
every time I put anything into my sink, because I'm, obviously I live by myself. I don't pile up a lot of dishes at once. I always like to do a bunch of dishes at once. That's just like how my brain is. But like I never let like the food sit on the dishes. Like before I even leave it in the sink, I rinse it off and garbage disposal everything, and then I put it there. So it, like the sink doesn't stink up. Like they're mostly clean, but not like fully clean that I have to do later.
It's when they get a little wet. It's if you let them soak too long, that's when they get real disgusting.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you from experience. If you let them soak for too long, because I do a lot of cooking, that smell is bad. Bad.
It's a bad smell and does not at all smell like farts. But
No, it's.
I'll have you know that I'm cleanly nowadays. Things have changed.
I have a dishwasher now.
I do. I vacuumed today.
Marriage will do that to you, right? So
Well done on the vacuuming. I need to do that myself.
yeah.
All right, last throwback
there's a
question.
reason why you took your wife to Hamilton, right? To thank her for teaching you how to be clean.
I'll have you know that she took me to Hamilton. So take that.
Okay, fair enough. Last question. Will Fox via Twitter asks, what is the matchup between an untrained average man with a sword versus a wild lion in a fight to the death?
10-0 lion.
Absolutely, it's the lion. I feel like if it's a trained person with a sword versus a wild lion. Okay, but also, untrained average man versus wild lion. We're assuming this is like a wild lion who can hunt. It could be like a day-old lion. Could be a baby lion who hasn't learned how to hunt yet, in which case probably person. But if we're talking about a hunting lion, it's 9-1 at least. Like it's only major user error would be a chance of a victory.
Yeah, the lion would have to dive at the person, pounce on them, and then take a sword like down the throat.
Right. The human would have to be like, and then it would have to just be
it's just pure luck that the human wins.
Yeah, agreed. It's basically just like major execution error.
I won't say 9-1. I'll say 9.5 versus 0.5 matchup. That's what the matchup is right there.
Okay,
It's
also
rough.
good question
It's rough.
though. What kind of sword? What if it is a lightsaber? What if
No, the
it's-
guy's still dead, dude. Like, I don't even.
A lightsaber, all you gotta do is
you
that's
just gotta touch
different.
it in that case? Yeah,
That's different, but that's not based on real life.
Yeah, but you
So-
also have to have like the connection with the kyber crystal, and also you need training with that thing. You think
I don't know, dude.
anybody
I've
could just pick up a lightsaber and be amazing with it?
I do, and I have video evidence of that
In what?
in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You're not talking about episode 7, are you?
Maybe I am, James.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, where did that come from? Also,
Love it.
Finn did it as well.
Yeah,
in
Finn
episodes,
picked up a saber out of nowhere.
yeah, they also dropped the storyline that Finn was supposed to be force sensitive.
Well, they brought it back in the final movie.
I mean, they dropped a billion storylines.
Yeah,
like,
I know. The whole thing sucked anyway.
not-
It's a
so
mess.
It's not a
It's a
trilogy,
mess.
as you
7
guys
and-
know. They're 3 separate movies.
7, 8, and 9 are just pretty much they shouldn't exist. So let's just put
7
it
was
that way.
good. 8 and 9
No.
suck.
8 was good. The others were bad.
7
Oh,
is- they're
just
all-
stop it.
Yeah, they're all awful. All of them.
All right.
All right. Well, that's the show.
we've actually basically stuck to our timeline for the first time in recorded history. So thanks to that. It's true, we didn't get to absolutely everything. And I did see some people talking about that in the chat. But I would like to have it be like a predictable ending time for people who are watching. Also for us doing it, that's helpful.
Makes things easier for everyone.
Yeah. So we're going to be a little bit choosier about what we get to. We're not going to like leave off really important things, but also probably won't get to everything.
Okay. I've already birded everybody, so thanks guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next.
I'm about to stream, by the way, everyone. So James, don't forget to raid me. I'm going live literally right now. I'm killing my camera and going live.
All right. Okay.
We'll watch Snowboard. He's gonna be playing gear and hanging out.
Let's do this.
I'm just gonna hang out.